The Cullen family is from County Mayo and County Sligo in Ireland, and I think at different times, and those are on the west coast of Ireland. The biggest town close by is Westport, and at different times they were, I believe, on different sides of the county lines.
Do you know when they moved?
It was not in the middle of the potato famines, which happened in the 1840s and 50s and before. But I think in some of the economic downturns after the potato famines, which were probably get less attention but were severe. So I think there was a worldwide depression in 1877, and I think they came over around that time, like 1876 or something.
Thomas Cullen was pushed out of Ireland because of the economic depression that followed the potato famine. It is an example of forced migration because of the job insecurity him and his family were facing during that time.
So one of the earliest family records I've seen is Thomas Cullen, 1876. And I think a brother or other family member had come over before that. And it's the classic, send us a letter if you find a job kind of thing, write if you get work.
Thomas Cullen had 11 siblings, and he was the second child to go over to America. His older brother James went over first looking for work, and Thomas came 2 years later. The Cullen family is an example of chain migration because one family member followed the other.
Well, I know because of the growth of the mining and steel industry in Scranton, Pennsylvania, there were a number of
Even though the Cullen family did not go into the mining industry, there were still many more opportunities in America than there were in Ireland. Due to the Troubles, my ancestors were denied from many job opportunities in Ireland.
But at the same time, your ability to make your way economically in Ireland in the 1870s as a Catholic they were limited. I think there were limitations on Catholics working in Irish government. There were limitations on Catholics being able to teach in schools. There was land ownership restrictions. There's a whole laundry list of stuff.
The reason that James and Thomas were the only Cullens to journey over to America is because of distance decay. It's a long journey from Ireland to America that many people either couldn't or did not want to endure.
And those were based, a lot of the towns in and around Scranton, the origin of the town was the mine shaft. And there were a couple of mining companies, but wherever the shaft went in, the person who got a job in the mine would write home back to Europe, and a lot of those immigrants came over. Thomas married a woman who had immigrated from Sligo, whose last name was Linett. And that family ended up founding the Scranton Times, which was a newspaper that Thomas worked at, and Thomas's son worked on it, and even Thomas's grandson, who was my dad, worked at as well.
The terms that do not apply to my family migration is intervening opportunity, step migration, and remittances. As far as we know, there was no money sent home to the family in Ireland. There was no opportunity that brought them to Scranton as opposed to a different city. Scranton was closer to the Atlantic Ocean, and that is where James decided to settle, and that was the intended destination. Finally, it was not step migration because there was no stops before Scranton. It was the first place they found, and our family has lived there for the past 150 years.